Resources, inspiring interviews, business practices, and practical advice to take your art career to the next level. Join Sergio Gomez in today's Artist Next Level and get ready to take control of your career.
Well, hello, my next level friend. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Artist Next Level podcast. This is a special edition episode in which I am interviewing artists from around the world as they are stuck at home during the coronavirus lockdown. Today it's my pleasure to have in the show Richard Hearns. He's joining us all the way from west coast of Ireland, and we're going to talk about reset. Hey, Richard, good to see you. How are you today?
Sergio, I'm very well. Thank you very much. It's a beautiful day here in Ireland.
I can see from the back door that leads to the outside world. It seems like it's a beautiful and amazing day for you.
Yeah, we've had an incredible spring. I honestly can't remember a spring this good for many years. We've had like 2 months of very beautiful weather. Yeah, I'm very lucky. Where we live just outside of a UNESCO park on the west coast, and there's very small population here. In fact, the village I've lived in, or just outside of, for over 10 years, there's only about 250 people living in that village during the winter time.
Wow.
And then in the summer, it kind of swells a bit, and you might have maybe 1,000 people. But it's a very quiet place, and we're right by the coast and we've lots of space. So yeah, I'm really thankful for that.
Very cool. Now, from what I understand also, you're not specifically from Ireland, right? You actually have traveled somehow, some ways. And so tell me a little bit about how you ended up in Ireland.
Well, actually, I was born in Beirut in the Lebanon.
Okay.
In 1980. And I was adopted by an Irish United Nations peacekeeper. Oh. So my father was a peacekeeper with the United Nations, and Lebanon had been through a very long and bloody civil war.
Right.
And my dad adopted myself and 2 other girls from Lebanon. One from Lebanon, actually, and one from Bethlehem, from Jerusalem.
Wow.
Or from Israel, from Bethlehem. And we all grew up in Ireland. Well, I was the size of a milk bottle when I came to Ireland. I think I was 11 weeks old when I came here.
Oh, wow.
So I'm very much Irish, but my heritage is Phoenician or Lebanese.
Oh, very cool. Very exciting. So let's talk a little bit about, how you have experienced the whole crisis, the world, as we are going through coronavirus, and as I've been interviewing artists from around the world to see how everyone is approaching it, adapting, transforming their careers into the new world, in which we are living in. So tell me a little bit about for you, how was it, particularly where you are in that part of Ireland where you don't have a dense populated, city, how has affected you or the community around you, what's going on right now?
Well, I think early on, actually, there were 5 cases identified in this townland. And they were imported cases. People had come home from Germany and Austria, maybe. So people got really mature about it very early on.
Okay.
And I think that helped a lot. But I think, personally, I'm still coming to terms with what's happened.
Yeah.
Making my work helps me deal with that, because I'm able to work through the ideas of what's happened here. But I would have to say the west of Ireland, it's not densely populated. The the communities are very, very strong. And everybody's been very mature about it and has looked after each other. So it was an easy place to deal with the situation, I think. And then, thank God, where I live, you can walk within 5 kilometers of the house, and there's many country roads, and the beaches are close by too. So I can walk to a pier and have a swim and come back home and work. But I remember the restrictions came in around March 17th, I think just before St. Patrick's Day. And my studio is just over 5 kilometers away. So I drove up there and got lots of my equipment and brought it back so I could work from home for a number of weeks.
Okay, great. So then, so the new series that you've been working with, so then those are series that you have been working directly from your home.
Yeah, that's right.
So let's talk about it. You know, you have a new series called Reset. Tell me about, you know, the title of that series already kind of gives us an impression of what it feels, right? It looks like the whole world is on reset. But tell me, you know, how you came around to that idea and, you know, what's it about?
Well, I think after the initial shock of the situation, like kind of wore off, I gathered myself together and I decided to kind of create a response to a unique moment in our collective history. And I did that through creating 3 different bodies of work. There's 3 different series and they're all part of this larger body of work called Reset.
Okay.
They're abstract pieces. They go from kind of a small scale to large scale abstracts. And the first series deals with memory specifically and kind of like the need to reflect on what we'd enjoyed just weeks ago. And the paintings are about fondness and nostalgia and a desire to return to that colourful life that we had.
Right.
And their paintings, they're made on canvas, but also the frames of the paintings are painted very colourfully and texturally too. And then the second series, I had a lot of fun photographing it because there's 36 canvases.
Oh,
now,
wow. Okay.
They're small pieces. They measure like about 16 inches by 16 inches each. But that series is all about the natural elements found in nature. And what I did with that series was I made paintings about the earth, water, air, and fire. And I thought about how all of these elements work in harmony together, you know, to create balance in the world. Right. And then by drawing hand-drawn measurements, I forced the elements apart just to emphasize how unnatural social distancing felt to me. Right. And then there's one more body of work.
Yeah.
And these are really large-scale paintings. They're very big. They're 150 by 150 centimeters each. So they're like as big as my body.
Okay.
And basically, I wanted to bridge the gap then. I wanted to think about the future. So the first one deals with memory, the second with nature, and the third series with future. And with this series, I harnessed the rainbow spectrum. And there's 7 canvases, and they employ kind of rich and lush brushwork, and there's a kind of a depth of composition. And again, I think with these paintings, I was trying to evoke a human feeling, you know, this feeling that we long to return to, you know, feeling of you walking around your gallery space in Chicago, looking at paintings, all of the things that we've been denied. I'm trying to evoke that through these compositions.
That's very interesting. And I love how the transition, you know, you divided the whole series into almost three phases, 3 sections, almost like the different phases in which we are approaching the situation, right? Like phase 1, like the shock. And even as things reopen, you know, things are reopening in phases. First a little bit, now you can go outside and walk and do it. Then phase number 2, now, you know, some shops begin to open up. You know, it's all this, almost like each phase is a way of understanding each season in this transition, right?
Yeah, that's a really nice analogy. I didn't really think about it like that, but I thought about it like, how do I deal with the situation and bridge it then? So I start with the past, and then I think about my own nature, and then I think about the future. The future,
right. And also the size transition from really small to, again, they're really large, right? Yeah. I love that. And now let's talk also a little bit about, because we are in a time right now where exhibitions cannot take place. You know, galleries are still closed, museums are still closed, but you have gone ahead and created a virtual experience for your Reset series online. So let's talk a little bit about, that thinking about how people were going to experience your work online. What I love about the website is that you made it in a way that it's almost like you visit a gallery or studio space, and there's certain distance between the artwork, so you can see them in scale with a person. So tell me a little bit about, what was your thinking in ways of presenting this work in a virtual space so people could understand it better?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. So we were restricted, so everybody was at home. But I had exhibitions in very large-scale spaces before. Mm-hmm. And I asked a friend of mine who's really, really good on Photoshop. He's a brand consultant and designer. Okay. He owns a company called Billion. Well, basically, I sent Graham lots of images of me and my works in a physical space. And then what we went about doing was we went about kind of laying out the paintings so they could look like how I would want to present the show. And that's cool. It was great because I was able to collaborate with Graham like I am with you. We were able to talk online and share our screens, and then come up with a concept for how to show the work, how to display the work. I feel, Sergio, I want to do a lot more with it. And of course, I'd love to have a physical show with the paintings in time. Right.
But in the meantime, I think it was a great solution, because if you put all the work, let's say like the typical website, like squares with all the artwork, you really don't have an idea of size. I mean, you can read it, but it doesn't really in your head register the same as if you actually look at a photograph. There's a person, there's a three-dimensional space, and immediately you're like, oh, these are small. Oh, that's the space in between. And
scale has always been really important to me. In fact, most of my large-scale informal abstract paintings are, the scale is super important. They are the size of my body or a space my body can inhabit. And I've always been really interested in documenting my work through video to give people that kind of tactile sensibility of the scale of the paintings. Because I know what it's like going to a museum, that's when you really, or to a gallery, that's when you can really connect with a painting. But I've always found that online, it's very difficult to get a sense of the painting itself. And as a painter, I want to be with the painting for a long period of time. So, in using video and everything's been super important to me for the last 5 years. And I have a lot of my work documented in that fashion.
Right. No, I love that idea. It's the physicality of the object that is lost in the digital space. And then those photographs allows us to kind of feel that presence of the object, which I think is fascinating. So, Richard, believe it or not, we are running out of time already. Time goes by really fast in our conversations. Tell me a little bit how our friends can experience the Reset series online. Where can we go to find it?
Well, you can find it on my Instagram account. It'll be tiered and kind of broken up a little bit, but on my Instagram account, it's at Richard_Hearns, Hearns. But also on my website, I have a new landing page there. And if you go to richardhearns.com/reset, you can see images there that you can zoom in and look at the images closely. And then you can also read a little bit more about the project too.
Well, yeah, fabulous. And actually, that's the way I recommend everyone to go check it out, because that's how I, enjoy the work, by being able to zoom in and click in the web space. That was really good. Well, Richard, you've been so good today, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. Anything that you want to cover before we go?
No, I just want to wish everybody well, and that hopefully we'll collectively all think about a bright future and to continue creating during this time, and just knuckle down and make lots of work, and we'll have something beautiful to present when all of this is behind us.
Absolutely. I love that, Richard. Thank you so much for sharing. And all friends who are watching today, please share this episode with your friends. It will make us really, really happy. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye. Bye, Richard.
Thanks, Sergio. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Check out our website at www.theartistnextlevel.com, where you will find our podcast library, learn about our upcoming webinars, find resources relevant to your career, and much more. Thanks for listening to today's podcast, and we'll see you at the next level.